I'm Naira, and I'm here to inspire you. Welcome to my Dancing Forest of Thoughts, um, where I dance and I think and I talk. Thank you, first of all, for like 70 something subscribers. I saw, I'm so excited because that's fun. You must really love you if you like me even a little bit. So that's good news. I appreciate it. I definitely am. In the process of, oh my gosh, sorry you guys, I'm just first of all trying to figure all this out, and I'm a one take queen kind of girl, so we're just gonna keep on going, regardless of how it starts or how it ends. That's what I do. So today I was talking to my sister, about just like trauma and things that we go through, and she's like, yeah, all the trauma I've been through it, but like in the if you look at the symptoms or whatever results, I guess, of the trauma, she's like, I don't really fit into the category because I don't have flashbacks, and I'm not scared of men or people, whatever, and a lot of it is just because like we, a lot of people are just like, oh well, what happened, and I'm the queen of that. And it bothers me a little bit, because I see people behaving terribly, right, to either themselves or their children or whatever, and then I'm sitting there and thinking like, oh, but like their life must have been so hard, or like the trauma, especially us in this generation that are breaking some generational curses based on the trauma that we have received because of what our parents received. And it's good to have empathy and understand that, oh, they also went through something, so that's why they're dishing it out. But the thing about being a human person is that we have a choice. Like that's ultimately it. Like it dawns on you. You remember when you come into some sort of enlightenment or awakening that it's your choice. Like you create heaven or hell on earth, because all it is right now. Like existence is just now. It either exists right now or it doesn't exist. And non existent doesn't exist, and that's the whole point of non existence. So, what existence is what it is now. And it's your choice that you make. So, despite having trauma just thrown at us, like, you know, we make the choice. We determine, like, am I going to take that trauma and now go and dish it out to everybody all of the time? Of course, it's going to come out because we are just human people, but am I just going to be that? Is that going to be my default? I'm just going to be shitty and keep blaming the entire world for my reaction to it, when what happened is neutral, and it's your meaning that you're putting onto it, right? So there's definitely that, like, sometimes you need to put more meaning to things, especially when there's trauma involved. Like, you know what? No, that was really shitty. I lived through that. I am a survivor, but it doesn't make it okay just because my abuser was also abused, right? Like, just because my abuser was abused doesn't make it okay, because that person had the choice. Because now I have been abused, and am I going to now abuse my child, right? Like, am I going to go and dish out that abuse just because I was like, does that really make it okay? And I think definitely for my ex, right, that's one of the things I wish he would get through his head, because it's like, oh, but I was so, abused as a child. It's like, yeah, so the fuck were all of us. All of us, especially any woman. You want to talk to a woman about abuse? We live in trauma. And I know most of the people who watch us end up being male, which probably because of dancing, I don't know. But, it's like, that's good. I hope you listen. I hope you understand that, like, being a woman is hard, and it is a man's responsibility to make it easier on women. Like, and I keep telling my son this, I'm like, because he's so cute, and people just kind of let him do whatever. And I'm like, no, you don't. First of all, aren't going to be cute forever. There's only so much cuteness is going to get you. It's a great way to enter into something, but then you have to have something else to hold you there, right? So And I tell him, I'm like, you are a boy, you are a man. You're going to be a man. You have to respect women. You have to understand that their life is infinitely harder than yours. It just is, just by sheer existence of being a woman and having to bleed and have all this emotion and just having like men be our biggest predator. Like that's insanity to me, right? But that's the world that we live in. So, we're talking about, yeah, like when we're walking and there's men behind us, like unless they're on our side of the street, if they're on the side of the street, we're crossing, and one of my old mentors, he's like 6'5", big white guy. And he told me, he's like, every time I see a woman walking, I cross the street, because he just doesn't even want to give that discomfort to any woman. And his brother too. I was walking, I think for volleyball, and he was there, and he kind of glanced at me and then kept like looking away, and I'm like walking towards him, like trying to get his attention. He's like, oh my god, he's like, you didn't look like you look very different. He's like, and I didn't want to stare, right? So just that respect of, even though he's like, oh, she looks familiar, he's not going to sit there and stare at me because he's not creepy. Right? So I think we need to understand that, first of all, like when we have been abused and when we are being abused, like it does not make it okay just because our abuser was abused. And secondly, just because now you're abused does not make it okay for you to go dish that out. And thirdly, accepting that, man, that sucks. It sucks that we live in a world where it's just been generations and generations and generations of just trauma, just dishing out. Like, it's like, that's what we all have. Like, people just literally sit here and live in the most low vibration of life because they're so, God, I don't know, they're so like ingrained. It's so ingrained in our brains, right? And that's what society fills into us. Like every movie out there, even kids movies, it's like, defy your parents, go fall in love with a boy. And it's always heterosexual love too, like go fall in love, defy them, and then they'll come around and they have a baby, and then they'll come around. Having babies is the biggest propaganda ever. Okay, first of all, because it's the hardest thing to do. It's completely undervalued, completely free labor. Men just sitting here dishing out babies. We don't want them like that, okay? And it's so easy. God, I'm going all over the place, but it's all related to trauma, right? It's so easy to people always blaming single mothers. Like, oh, so that's a kid of a single mother. Like, daddy, you got daddy issues. Like, where is daddy? Where is daddy? How is that not the biggest concern of single mothers and their children? Like, where is daddy? Why is daddy so messed up that either he left or he had to be needed to leave? He had to go. So I get real stressed out about this sometimes. But anyways, I think that it's important that as men and as boys and as mothers of men and boys, that we teach them what is an appropriate and acceptable way to behave and what is inappropriate and unacceptable. And that trauma should be talked about and should be vocalized, and it's not your fault. Like, we're talking about sexual abuse and how, it's like, oh, it's something about, I'm not into kids like that, but just something about you that made me do it. Like, no. Hell no. Okay? It's not. That is a child, you are a pedophile. These are just two things that are both true, okay? And it's not about the child. So we just really need to, as a society, as a collective, grow up a little bit and understand like what is right and what is wrong and where the lines are, and stop blaming single mothers and their children for all of the abuse that comes from men towards us directly. Okay, and then how ultimately I'm like, it's always a man's fault. It's always 100% a man's fault. Even if your mother is the one abusing you, who is the one abusing her, right? And again, she made the choice to still continue abusing you. That's her fault too, but it still came from the patriarchy. So that's that. I can go on for years on this one, but I think owning your trauma in a way that, yes, it has made you who you are, but still understanding that it's super wrong and it was bad, and that we all deal with trauma. So now we must all get out of it. We must all get out of it, right? Like, just because the traumatized boy is traumatizing a girl doesn't make the traumatized boy right. Because the traumatized girl is now going and traumatizing everybody else, unless she is. And then guess whose fault that is too, right? So, whew, I'm gonna dance to something. And even my dancing, right? It's like, oh, the reason my dancing is so sexy is because I'm confident in my dance. I'm confident in what I do. So people, like, sexiness comes out when you're confident in something, right? Like, I love watching my fiance do the things he's really good at because he's so sexy, because he's so good at those things. Um, so same with building confidence, especially after trauma, is like, has to come from within. It has to be like, I am good at this thing and I'm only doing this for me. Despite what it looks like, it's only for me. I'm in my own head. I put my own headphones in and I dance with me. And then I want other people to do the same, so that you're with you for a moment. Like, give yourself a break, give yourself a playtime with you. Like, let your mind get to know your body and let your body get to know your mind. I'm going to continue this one on the next one because I am ready to dance, and I hope that you join me.